You want to take...
Hello, I'm Kat and this is Kat Tries to Bake. Today I'm going to be trying to make eclairs for the very first time. I've been wanting to make eclairs for a really long time because they always make them on Great British Bake Off, so I'm ready. I got this recipe from Natasha's Kitchen. You can find the full recipe in the description of this video. Alright, well without further ado, let's go! Okay, for my first step, I need to heat up a bunch of ingredients in a medium saucepan. In this, I need to put a half a cup of water, a half a cup of milk, 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I need to bring all of that to a boil. Clear, nar. Half a cup of milk, half a cup of water, 8 tablespoons of butter going in. Whoa, super melted because I left it out to get to room temperature. I'm gonna use a spatula. 1 teaspoon of sugar. I'll add like a little bit more than that. And lastly, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, I basically have all of my ingredients out and ready off camera because I've made choux pastry before when I was making my cream puffs, and I know that you sort of have to work quickly. Like, all the steps come right after each other, so just have everything out because right after this starts boiling, you're gonna wanna put your flour in and mix immediately. It's boiling now and there's a lot of steam, so I'm gonna turn the heat off and I'm gonna take this off of heat, put my 1 cup of flour in and start stirring immediately. Alex is yawning again and he's like, here's my 1 cup of flour. There's plastic wrap on it because I was afraid that pancake would start licking it. And I'm just gonna mix vigorously. So this is pretty much just like the choux pastry that I make for my cream puffs, where I'm stirring and mixing so that it's all combined, and then I have to put it back onto heat and then mix it a little bit more to get some of the water to evaporate. My cream puff recipe is from Baker Betty. I can also link that in the description of this video, but there's also a whole video of me making cream puffs from that recipe. I'm pretty much done here with this step, so I'm gonna transfer all of this dough to a big mixing bowl and then mix it a little bit with an electric hand mixer so that it cools off a little bit. I have 4 eggs already cracked here, and I'm gonna add them 1 at a time to this dough. So I'm gonna put 1 in and then mix it until it's fully incorporated before I add the next egg. So when I make my choux pastry dough for the cream puffs, I just mix all of it by hand. I actually feel like I'm just gonna do that right now because using my hand mixer, it just seems like it keeps breaking apart. So I'm going to depart from the instructions just a little bit right now. I think I'm just about done here, so I'm gonna go preheat my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and set up my baking sheet. Well, you know how I said I took all the ingredients out before? Well, in what I just did, I needed 4 eggs. Later on, I only need 4 egg yolks. I accidentally put only the 4 egg yolks in here. But luckily I saved the 4 egg whites. So I'll just try my best to combine them now. Kat tries to bake! Hopefully it will turn out okay. It's all slimy and stuff now. I think I will use my hand mixer for this, and then I'll use my hand. Okay, not too bad. Worse mistakes have been made. I'm thinking back to the video where I made a recipe that Alex translated 20 times. What is the chicken? This is nowhere near as bad as that. This is fine. I'm not complaining. Strange lyric. Was that an ambulance? What is that?
It's a plane.
A plane was like, oh. So I'm going to sort of eyeball 4-inch long lines that I'm gonna pipe with a 1/2 inch round tip. They need to be about 1.5 inches apart because I'm assuming they'll expand a little bit. Okay, I put too much dough in here, I think. Whoa, so cute! Yeah, I sort of just eyeballed it. They're definitely not all the same length. I'm just making these for me, so, you know, I'm not being super precise, but if you look at the ends of it, there's like a little tip coming up from where I pulled the pastry bag up. I'm just gonna take some water and smooth it out. This isn't in the instructions, but I learned this from a different recipe. Okay, I think they are all ready for the oven. My oven is done preheating, so I'm gonna put these in for 10 minutes. Okay, I know I just said I'm gonna put them in for 10 minutes. This is gonna take a lot longer than I thought. This is why you have to read all the instructions first. So you have to bake these for 10 minutes at 425 degrees, then you decrease the temperature and bake it for another 30. I'm going to pipe another tray first, and I'll just put them in together. I just tried to fit as much as I could. They're not spaced out great, but I kind of just want to bake them. I'm gonna put both of these into my oven for 10 minutes. In the meantime, we are gonna make the filling and then the, is it ganache? Not ganache, chocolate glaze to put on the top. Although looking at the steps, it sort of looks like ganache, but what do I know? So for this step, my single burner is gonna come back out. In this pot, I'm gonna put in 2 cups of whole milk and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And then I'm just gonna let it come to a boil. Is it hot? Is it getting hot? In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that, I'm gonna whisk together some of my dry ingredients. This is 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and a pinch of salt. Now this is where I was supposed to add 4 egg yolks. I'm just gonna scoop out the 3 egg yolks that are still intact, and then I think I just have to crack another egg. Bloopy! Oh no, he's escaped! But he's not broken. No, I can't save this one. I just have to crack another egg. Now I'm gonna mix this together until it's smooth and creamy and really light in color. My timer just went off, so I'm gonna drop the temperature to 325 right now.
Yeah, it'll stick back.
That's okay. Alexa, stop.
You wanna take
10-minute timer stopped on the...
This is why you pay attention. Oh, it's boiling all right. It's burning now. My milk mixture is definitely hot enough. I realized that I'm gonna need a bigger bowl for this, so I'm just gonna transfer this over. My next step involves me very gradually pouring the milk mixture in and whisking so that the eggs don't curdle. Now that the egg mixture and the milk mixture are combined into one very smooth, liquidy mixture, I have to put this back onto the stove for another 30 seconds and let it come to a boil again. There's like burnt milk and stuff on my single burner, and it's too hot to scrape it off. So I'm just gonna do this kind of off camera on my actual stove, and we'll film some of this there. As you can see, we are at the stovetop. We're using the iPad to film just because we don't want to mess up our camera setup over there. Right now it's over medium heat, and we're gonna let it come to a boil while I whisk. Alex is laughing because he thinks I look like a toddler when it's filmed this way. But after it comes to a boil, we're gonna whisk it for another 30 seconds, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we want it to be a pudding-like consistency. It's looking really good. I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't know why my expectations were so low. Like, I didn't think that I would make pudding. But I'm gonna take this off of heat, and I think it's ready. But I'm gonna transfer this back into my bowl and then add vanilla extract and butter. Nice! Pudding! I'm working fast here. So I need to whisk in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now I'm gonna take 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. They're already at room temperature and cut into pieces, and I'm also gonna add that and whisk. You know, this is a lot of steps, but I actually feel like it's turning out not bad, despite the missteps that we've had already. So I am done with the filling, but I need to let it cool. I realize now that the instructions say to put it into a medium bowl because the plastic wrap needs to be directly over the cream. So I need to transfer this yet again into a smaller bowl. I'm gonna let it kind of cool closer to room temperature first, so that when I put it in the fridge, it doesn't like shock it. The next step in the recipe says to pipe the pudding into the eclairs, but my eclairs aren't done yet. And then after that, I'm supposed to put it into the fridge and let it kind of cool all together while I work on my chocolate glaze. So I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit and then make my chocolate glaze. It's a little bit of a time-consuming recipe, so if you want to make this at home, make sure you have ample time. The eclairs are done baking. I don't know if like just this, by the way, is called an eclair by itself, but I'm just gonna call it that. I love the color on these. They're a really beautiful golden brown. They feel super light and airy, but also like firm enough and crispy on the outside. So now that my pudding has been in the fridge for a little bit, I'm gonna take it out and I'm just gonna pipe some filling into each of these little eclair things. So I'm gonna poke like 2 or 3 holes and then pipe in. The filling is not super cool yet. It hasn't been 30 minutes in the fridge, so I'm actually gonna put these aside and then make the chocolate glaze first. To make the chocolate glaze, I have 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips and then a half cup of heavy whipping cream. I am going to heat this on the stovetop just for a little bit until it starts to simmer, and then I'm gonna pour it over the chocolate chips and mix it together so it makes the glaze. I've heated my heavy whipping cream and I'm gonna pour it over my chocolate chips, and then I'm gonna let it rest for 2 minutes and then start whisking it. I've let it rest for 2 minutes, so I'm gonna start stirring. This is such a beautiful chocolate glaze. I'm gonna set this aside, and now I'm pretty sure the pudding will be ready to pipe into these eclairs, so I'm gonna do that. I just took my pudding out of the fridge. The bottom of the bowl is still a tiny bit warm, but this consistency is pudding. It's so jiggly and firm, so I feel like it's ready to pipe. I'm gonna put this into my pastry bag that I've already fitted with a really small round tip, and I'm just gonna pipe into my eclairs. I'm just gonna poke maybe like 3 holes, nice and thin. No, it keeps getting pushed back in, please. I need to poke bigger holes. For this, I'm just gonna like crack it open and see how much filling I actually piped in. Ooh, okay, it's not too bad. I lied. There's a lot of open space here. I will pipe better. Let me try this first though. This is really nice. I think I just need to pipe like slightly bigger holes. On to the next one. Actually, I have these really small paring knives. I'll just like do that. I think it's happening. Yeah, no, not really. Lots of trial and error here today. I have a new piping bag with a bigger piping tip, and I think I'm just gonna poke bigger holes. Actually, yeah, this feels heavier, so let's crack it open and see. There's like filling all in here. It's working now. Now that I've effectively ruined this one, let's keep going. Oh, I know what I can do. I have bottles! Okay, no, everything's a mess right now, but I remembered that I bought these bottles, like these squeeze bottles for cake drips, and I'll just use it to squeeze pudding into my eclairs. This is sort of my last resort right now. Let me just fill this up a little. Okay. It is working beautifully. Yes, I can feel the pastry like getting heavier and filling. Problem solved. I'm just gonna do this for the rest of them then. Finally finished piping all of my eclairs. It took a long time and a lot of squeezing, but I'm finally ready to put my finishing touches on them, which is the chocolate glaze. And I'm gonna dip them in, so I think what I'm gonna do is put some of the glaze on this plate and I'll start dipping. This one isn't filled. Pretty! Moment of truth. Let's try one. Come time!
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Young Slime once again. First, a little breakaway. Oh, creamy. Oh, all mamas. Fire. The chocolate really balances out the sweetness of the cream. And it's moist, light, airy, decadent.
But chocolate is sweet.
Okay, well, it's a different type of sweet, you know?
I would say this recipe was pretty easy to follow. It was just so many steps because it's 3 components. You have the eclair, and then you have the filling, and then you have the chocolate. And like I said before, it does take some time, so make sure you carve out enough time to do this. It's not hard, it's just there's a lot of steps, and the product is really nice, so I would definitely love to serve these if I had friends over or if I was going to a gathering or something.
You have friends? Sorry.
You're uninvited from my home. I guess that's it for today's episode. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Okay, bye!